Hey guys, it's Mrs. Invest. So I started my financial independence journey back in 2011 when I was 18 years old, and over that time frame from then until now I have learned a lot. And I'm not saying I have all the answers by any means, but I definitely know what has really helped me. And in this video I'm going to share how you too can create $1 million, the variables that affect this, how long it's going to take you depending on your income and financial habits. And there's nothing really particularly important about the 1 million number. It's just a nice round number for you to use for this video. It might be enough for you to retire on, it might not, but that's another video in and of itself. And I say create $1 million very specifically because you truly have to create it through investing with compound growth. It's almost impossible to earn $1 million through working. You will be working until the day you die, and it's equally as difficult to save your way to $1 million because by the time you've saved the money in a savings account, inflation will have eaten away at your purchasing power. So the word create I've chosen really intentionally, and with the power of investing with compound growth, you can get there. It is possible. So how long will it take you to create $1 million, and how do you do it? You know, everyone watching this video is probably in a different life stage, at a different income level, in a different career, but I think there's some general concepts that if you follow, it's basically like a recipe, and they're just principles that are just generally true that no matter your life stage, your income, or what you do for a living, that can really help you get there. And the other thing is that these variables are all under your direct control, so you can do something about them to optimize them. The first variable is your income, so how much money do you make every year? The second variable are your expenses, how much do you spend? The third variable is your savings rate. So of that income, number one, how much of that are you actually saving versus spending? And the fourth variable is your investment growth rate, or what percent are your investments compounding each year. So really the basic formula to get you from zero to $1 million is this: increase your income, decrease your expenses, thereby increasing your savings rate. When you increase your savings rate, it gives you more free cash to deploy into assets like stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, bonds, real estate. And those investments can compound for you at least 7 to 8% per year. So no matter your age, your gender, your income level, what you do for a living, these four variables, you can optimize them for yourself to expedite your way from 0 to 1 million. And let's talk a little bit more about each of these four variables. So when it comes to income, the first thing you want to do is invest in yourself so you give yourself the potential to earn decent money. Whether that's doing an apprenticeship or going to school or staying in school a little bit longer, give yourself the potential to have a good starting foundation with a decent income. And once you've found that job or that area that allows you to make income, really try to optimize that income source. If you're an employee, become really good at what you do. As someone who employs people, a good employee is invaluable to the business. Negotiate a raise. Don't stay at a job that's underpaying you just because it's easier to stay than to leave. Extract as much value out of that primary income source as you can, and as time goes on, increase your income at that income source. And if you've already maxed yourself out at your primary income source, maybe you're working by the hour and there's only so many hours you can work in a day, and you're already at the upper end of what's reasonable for you for your job, start looking at secondary income sources, whether that's something as simple as flipping furniture or starting a small side hustle. Increasing your income even a little bit early in life is so valuable because every dollar you earn in your 20s and your 30s is at least 3 times as valuable as dollars you're going to earn later in life. So the whole goal with income is trying to optimize your income as early as possible to give you a really good foundation going forward. The second variable are your expenses. Live like you're broke in your 20s. I cannot emphasize enough how important your 20s are if you want to build wealth early and retire young. And the best part about it is that nobody expects anything from you in your 20s. If you drive a beat up car, or you have no car at all, you drive a bicycle, or maybe you don't even have a bicycle, you drive a unicycle, and you live in a rooming house with 10 other friends to split the rent, like literally nobody bats an eyelash. So your 20s are a great decade to focus on minimizing your expenses and maximizing the money that's going towards your investments. Live like you're broke during this decade so that you can actually become wealthy later in life, instead of trying to look like you're wealthy in your 20s by buying all these expensive things that you you don't actually need to create this facade when in reality you have nothing at all. And the three areas you want to focus on in your 20s are the big areas of spending, which are housing, transportation, and food. So the third area to look at is your savings rate. And you might say, Mrs. Invest, I make $50,000, $60,000 a year. There's just no way that I can save enough to ever make this possible. And I agree with you. Like, there's no doubt about it. The less money that you make, the harder this becomes. But it's not impossible. It will just take you longer because, the reality is whether you earn $50,000 a year or $500,000 a year, a loaf of bread still costs $5. And that's why the number one focus is on increasing your income first. But let's take a look at some different income levels and savings rates to see how long it will actually take you to create $1 million. And let's first start out with someone who's earning $60,000 a year, never increases their income, so it's always $60,000 a year. They start with $0 and their investments compound at 8% annually. So you can see in the chart that this person, if they have a 5% savings rate, which means they're saving $3,000 of the $60,000 per year, which is $250 saved per month, compounded at 8%, it will take them 41 and a half years to create $1 million. If they increase their savings rate to 15%, which is saving $750 a month, it will take them 28 and a half years to create $1 million. And do these numbers look familiar to anybody? Working 30 to 40 years, that's what most people do. And the reality is that most people don't save much of their income. I think the average savings rate in Canada is about 7%. So, you might say that this is crazy to save so much of your income. Like this is not normal. Who does this? And the reality is yes, it's abnormal. Most people don't do this, but most people also work for 30 to 40 years. So if you want to do something differently than the average person, you have to do something differently than the average person, right? So if we increase that savings rate, now going up to 50 to 60%, I think honestly is a little bit unrealistic for a $60,000 income after taxes because, at a 60% savings rate, you're saving $36,000 a year, you're spending $24,000 a year. Like that's really hard to live on $24,000 a year. And again, that's why the primary goal here is to increase your income. But nevertheless, if you were somehow able to save 60%, earning $60,000 a year, it would take you 14 years to create $1 million. So now let's look at another income level, so $90,000 a year after taxes, and see how these numbers change. So you can see here that at the 5 to 15% savings rate, someone earning $90,000 a year, the time to $1 million is 37 to 25 years. And I think this just goes to show that despite earning significantly more money than the $60,000 a year person, they're earning $30,000 a year more after taxes. Even if they don't save very much, they're still going to be working for a really, really long time. So I think, if you're at a lower income level, you can use this sort of as motivation that, earning more money necessarily does not make your path to retirement any shorter. What really impacts this is how much of your money that you do earn that you actually save and deploy into assets. Now, of course, if you're earning a higher income level and your savings rate is higher, that's really the magic sauce where things start to really condense down as far as time goes. So this $90,000 a year person, if they start saving 50% of their income, which is $3,700 a month, their time to $1 million is 13 years. That starts to get pretty juicy. Not that many people retire at after 13 years of working. And the reality is that this is hard to do. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. And remember, these charts that I've made up are, in my opinion, kind of like the worst case scenario, because I'm assuming that this person's income never increases, which is pretty unrealistic. Like most people's income is going to increase over time at the bare minimum. So, you're starting to get close to a decade here to create $1 million at a $90,000 a year income after taxes. And so this really goes to show that if you crunch the numbers and play around with the numbers, you can see that, it's it becomes more realistic than you may initially think at first. And the fourth step of compounding your investments, compounding is the key to long-term wealth. Like I said, it's almost impossible to earn or to save $1 million. You'll be working until the day you die. So how exactly do you do this? Well, the first step, which is most important, is get financially literate. Of course, watch my videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel where we talk about investing for financial independence right here in Canada. But I think a big misconception is people assume that in order to become financially literate, you need to have money. And these are like completely different things. You can be financially literate with $20 and you can be financially stupid with $20 million. So you don't want to end up that person who's financially stupid with a lot of money, because that is a recipe for disaster. So the best time to gain financial literacy is when you have a small amount of money. That way, as your money grows, your knowledge grows, and you know what to do with it. So, money and financial literacy are two completely different things. So starting out with getting financially literate is super important. And I think, anything you want to learn these days is on the internet. My videos are a small piece of what's available out there, but, luckily anything you want to learn is at your fingertips. And so, you don't even need the dinosaur textbooks. You don't need to go to the library. Look it up online, and chances are someone has answered any question that you have, and you can educate yourself for free. Step 2 to compounding your investments is to invest as early as you can and as consistently as you can. If you're in Canada, open up your TFSA investment account, your RRSP investment account, and even if you don't know what to invest with yet, just put cash into those accounts. Get into the habit of taking cash monthly and putting them into those accounts. So while you're gaining financial literacy and you're figuring out your investment strategy, your investment philosophy, and what you want to invest in, by the time you figured all that out, you already have cash deployed into those accounts that you can use. And this is really the key, is you have to keep at it. This is a monthly thing you have to do over and over again, of continually putting cash into your investments over a long period of time. Step 3 is to invest in growth assets. If you watched my video called Investing 101 for Beginners, I talk a lot about growth assets and that I'm a big proponent of growth investing. And growth is really where it's at when you have a low net worth. Like I said, saving your way to $1 million, earning your way to $1 million, even trying to reinvest dividends on your way to $1 million, it's going to be tough. So growth is really where it's at. And if you think of some of the best growth assets over the last decade, the people who invested in Amazon in 2010 and Apple in 2010, Facebook, Google in 2010, they're laughing now. And one really well thought out investment in a good growth asset early in that company's exponential growth curve is truly what sometimes can be all that it takes to set you free. And it's that really one well-placed asset early in an excellent growth stock. And it's really amazing how this can happen. And it may just be that one investment of a small percentage of your entire portfolio that you invest in the right company at the right time, and you just hold through, and you look back over the decade and you are laughing. So growth is really where it's at, in my opinion, not financial advice. And the fourth tip for compounding your wealth is to not lose perspective. Remember why you're doing all of this in the first place. I know we're talking a lot about money, but it really has nothing to do with money. It's your life and your free time, and money is just the tool that helps to set you free. So just remember that, it really has nothing to do with money at all. That's all. Take care, guys. Please subscribe to my channel, like the video. I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.